morning. My name is Stacy Ziarko. I'm with the Sterling Heights Regional Chamber of Commerce, and we are here today with some of our community leaders from throughout Macomb County. Annually, the Chamber hosts a community leaders breakfast to talk about the future of all of our municipalities and what we see is going on in the year ahead. Well, in February, we met with this team and this group of folks and talked about what 2020 looked like. And I think that none of us thought 2020 would look like where we're at right now. So we thought it would be great to bring this group of executive leadership from around our community back together to talk about what they've seen in the last year, how their communities have fared, and what we're looking forward to in 2021. So this morning, I'm pleased to have County Executive Mark Hackel with us this morning, Mayor of Sterling Heights, Michael Taylor, Mayor of Utica, Thom, Dionne, and Supervisor of Shelby Township, Rick Stathakis. So thank you all for being here this morning. Thanks for taking time out of your busy mornings. We've all been kind of, I'm sure, running at a breakneck speed since March. And, the end is that there is no real light at the end of the tunnel right now. And so I'm looking to you all to talk for a couple minutes, and I'll start with you, County Executive Hackel. Tell me a little bit about, give us a little of what you feel has gone on in the county, what you're seeing, give us a kind of an opening statement on the last 8 months.
Yeah, very simply, I'll try to keep it within a minute or two here. March 13th was the first case we had here in Macomb County. A lot of confusion, a lot of concern, and it was very disruptive. So with that being said, we were fortunate. What we were able to do through a state of emergency order, we were able to figure out how do we coalesce and try to figure some things out here. The biggest concern was, what do people do? What are some of the CDC guidelines? What about PPE? How do we get first responders, our medical profession, the actual masks and the gowns, as well as gloves and everything else. We didn't know anything about testing. How are we going to do the testing? What's that going to look like? So at the onset of this, it was really a challenge. And with that, we tried to figure out how do we work not only with our local partners, but also at the state level. What are we going to do to help guide us? And I'm a firm believer there needs to be a national policy as well as a state policy. Localizing this issue, I think, is extremely disruptive and chaotic. So fortunately, at the beginning of this, the governor came up with the idea of stay-home orders and making sure we locked down the economy, for only essential. It became a problem for some of the businesses as we move forward. But doing that, you knew the concern moving forward was going to be, okay, when do we start opening back up? The original goal was when we flatten the curve. I think we've gotten there. I think there's been a lot of work that's been done, by health departments across the state, municipalities working together, and even the orders that we had for state of emergency were lifted, and the cooperation and the working relationship between us and our board of commissioners. So a lot has been done. Our emergency management, finance department, health department, even our planning department, working with the $152.5 million that we got from the federal government was very helpful, especially for our businesses, and support from organizations like yours, Stacy, getting that funding out there to kind of at least help them through this crisis. So there's been a lot that's been done. We are still going through this. It's, I say nobody still has a state of emergency order, not even at the state level, but it is still a state of concern. Everybody needs to be part of the solution. Follow CDC guidelines, wear the mask, try to protect you and your family. So we're doing that, knowing that the curve has been flattened. And again, nobody sees this ending anytime soon, but we still need to focus our attention on how do we do this coexisting with the economy, kids in school, making sure that everybody's safe, and monitoring what's going on with our healthcare professionals so that we're not inundating our hospitals like what was happening at the onset.
All right, I'm going to go around my screen. So I'm going to start with Mayor Dionne. Talk a little bit about, give us the kind of a little update on what's been going on in Utica.
So City of Utica, downtown in particular, has seen real struggle because many of our restaurants have been closed. And several of our other businesses, say over by Shaner and Hall Road area, which is when you collect 60% of your revenue through commercial business, we've seen these businesses looking to go out of business. They're struggling. Even in the downtown district, we made some exceptions with allowing sidewalk dining. We've allowed some exceptional instances where we've made a little bit easier for businesses to cut the red tape and still be able to do business. We've put even an area by, say, the Locker Room Saloon, which in this particular case, the young lady that bought it was 28 years old. She went on an entrepreneurial risk, and she bought this building and this business at 28 years old. And then the next year, when she's just starting her investment progress, COVID hits and she really struggled. So we did everything we could to help these small businesses continue on because our city really relies on these small businesses. When you have a population of 5,000 people, but you have 100,000 people that drive through the city per day, 6 major hotel chains, Dave & Buster's, Home Depot, Sam's Club, Target, we have a large commercial presence and a much smaller residential concern than a major commercial concern. But what we've done is we've tried to work with our commercial businesses to help them strive through this. So our council's been really good about doing this. Residents are not suffering nearly as bad as the commercial businesses. So we've been mindful of what's going on with them mostly.
Fantastic. Mayor Taylor, talk about Sterling Heights for us.
Sure. So Sterling Heights, I was the first one to be asked about the coronavirus back in February when we met as for the community leaders breakfast, which I think was maybe February 28th. Mm-hmm. And at that point, we really didn't know, none of us knew that 2 weeks later we would all be in some form of a shutdown, stay home order, or closely approaching that. So right around that time, mid-March, is when Sterling Heights issued its emergency order, and our emergency orders actually stayed in effect since, I believe, March 13th, and it's still in effect to this day. We were one of the first communities in Macomb County that issued, it was municipalities, I should say, that issued the emergency order. We sent our people home from City Hall, and we actually closed our community center, which had just opened a few days earlier, which was a very difficult decision for us. But, it's been phases, I would say. The first phase was just understanding what was happening and figuring out the best way to keep our employees safe and keep our community safe. We realized very early on that we had to continue delivering a lot of the services that the residents expect. Police services, fire services, DPW services. You needed to continue to rely on all of those. Your trash had to be picked up. And in fact, people were staying home, putting a lot more trash out at the curb than normal. And so there were a lot of changes that had to be made within the model that we had already had in place. And so we just continued to adapt. And that's what a lot of businesses did. That's what our residents did. And that's what the city of Sterling Heights did. We worked with our partners at the county. We've been lucky to have Mark's leadership at the county and at the state level and at the federal level. Getting PPE for our first responders was really one of our first tasks, making sure that they were able to safely do their job because they had to keep going out on runs. And by late March, early April, we were finding that a high percentage of our firefighter runs were COVID related. So you can imagine the stress that put on our first responders. I also want to say, though, that we called on our community. We did a lot of community outreach and made sure that we had dedicated websites, dedicated phone numbers. We had people working remotely, not at City Hall, but working remotely, but they were able to take the calls and connect volunteers with seniors and other at-risk people in the community to make sure that they were still able to get their groceries, make sure that they were still able to get toilet paper and paper towel and the things that they needed for their households. And we helped thousands of people that way. And so that was a really successful program. And what I would say the biggest thing that we've learned is that our community in Macomb County, Sterling Heights, and the surrounding areas have really come together and answered the call to do whatever we need to do to help each other out. I've seen our restaurants, I know, are struggling, but people are getting out there. They're spending their money in our local businesses, doing what they can to keep people employed and keep our economy going. So I'm really optimistic that even though you hear a lot of division on the national level, that locally here, we're all in it together and we're all doing everything we can to support each other, keep each other safe, keep our economy going, and keep everything moving forward.
And Stacy, if I could just, I hate to do this, to disrupt or interrupt from Rick going, but Mike's 100% right. If you think about Macomb County, there has been a united front in working together. Not one public official has tried to use this coronavirus or this concern we're having, nationally, here locally, to politicize it. Everybody's trying to figure out how do we best address this issue, from a community perspective, and nobody has politicized this. There's been a unity. Even the chambers, you've been working with the other chambers, Stacy, to help us get funds out to businesses throughout the entire county. That was $70 million we had to figure out how do we deal with businesses. So, I think that's probably the thing that I'm most proud of, what Mike had just got through saying about the community coming together and being part of the solution. But even more so, the public officials here in this county, nobody used this for political gain. Nobody, there was no blame game going on. It's okay, we're confronted with this. How do we come together to figure out how we deal with it? And that's the story I get out of this moving forward. An incredible amount of unity here within Macomb County. And I'm so proud to see that as we've gone through this process.
Absolutely. Supervisor Stathakis, can you tell us what's going on in Shelby?
Well, first of all, I want to congratulate Mark Hackel for only being 3 minutes over his 2-minute time limit. That's actually very good. I only mentioned that because it's cutting into my time, so no, it's okay. I'm kidding. Actually, I'm glad you are. But I think everything's been echoed pretty much what I'm about to say. But look, our primary objective, as everyone's, is providing services. And in order to do that, we have to make sure that our cities and townships are stable. Stability is what we aim for. We've got a terrific group of 7 people, our board of trustees, who do a phenomenal job with the finances, with the quality of life that we have going, public safety and what have you. So we've got 11 department heads, which we depend on every day. It's because of them we are able to keep our our services continuing even throughout this pandemic. Yeah, our buildings were closed, but no, we were open as far as our services were concerned. We never missed a beat on that. And our more than 300 employees just did a phenomenal job. So keeping our staff and communities safe, as Mayor Taylor and Mayor Dionne have said, without interrupting service was our primary goal, and we succeeded. But keeping a line of communication open between our cities and townships with the county was very important. We were getting these weekly reports from the county, and we shared them with everybody, all of our department heads, our employees. Those were critical. And that's why we didn't have to call Mark Hackel every week. We did. I mean, we had some conversations early on, but stability was the name of the game. And I think everybody did a great job as far as that's concerned. Also, our essential workers, I can't thank them enough. Our firefighters, our medics, these were people who were, while we were hiding from this virus in our households, as we should have been doing, we had fire medics rushing into houses, often with positive cases of COVID, and they knew it. But those people had to be transported to the hospital. It was life and death. And our fire medics and our police department, they're the real heroes here. And again, our department heads who kept this township going. I just can't say enough of the outstanding effort that they made. And I can't thank our board of trustees, all 6 others who just did a great job supporting everyone that had to be supported. We had to make sure the finances were there, and we'll get into that. But, our finances, our revenues are down $1.5 million, and yet we're going into 2021. In fact, today we have our budget meeting, our first of 2. And we are going to be going in with a balanced budget in 2021, but with a very different budget indeed. So stability is what it's all about. And I'm just glad that we had the team, and I'm glad our neighbors in our county, we all worked together, and it really is about the team, and everybody came out of this shining as much as possible. So I want to thank everybody. Go ahead, Mark, your turn.
Well, I do have a question. I sit on a lot of calls and I hear a lot of information about, the state numbers have been increasing over the last couple of weeks. That is no secret to any of us that our county numbers have been increasing too in COVID cases. We're not unique. We're, part of the big state picture. I ask you all, what is your message for the next few months for our community, for our business leaders, for our residents? We all know, wear a mask, be safe, make smart decisions. But as your plea to our community and our residents to do this, what would you want them to hear from you so that we really can lower these numbers going into the colder winter months? And Mark, if you don't mind, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I think you need to put things into perspective first and foremost. You've got varying degrees of anxiety on this. Whether it's people that are very excitable and think that we should still have the stay-home orders in place, to the folks that they're worried more about their constitutional rights and not having to wear masks. So it's about being responsible. It's about not just for yourself, your family, but for your neighbors and others. So following CDC guidelines is first and foremost. I know there are laws out there, that have been created, whether through executive orders and now through health department and my OSHA. But the reality is, in former law enforcement, I look at things as voluntary compliance is the best type of compliance, and giving people understanding where we're going, what's the direction. When people have information, that's powerful. And so when I say that, at the onset, we knew what the information was, and we knew what the goal was. It was to flatten the curve. No question we've done that. I'll just use Macomb County as an example because we're talking about Macomb County. At the onset, we didn't have PPE. I had 6 people doing contact tracing for my health department. 47% test positive rate. We had 600 people that died during the month of April. Where do we sit today? From 6 to 60 people doing contact tracing. We are testing thousands more people here in Macomb County. Our percent positive rate as we sit here today is about 7% compared to 47%. The death rate is about 30 people. We don't want to see anybody die. We don't want to see anybody contract this. But if anybody doesn't understand what we've done during that process, not only have we flattened the curve, we've opened up the economy. We've had to get rid of these stay-at-home orders. More people are complying voluntarily with the mask orders. So we're starting to see kids interacting through sports. We're seeing them go back to school to some degree. Businesses have been opening, and we got rid of those stay-at-home orders. So there is more contact. There is more opportunity for contact. And so with that, knowing that, maybe we've gone from, maybe June to where we're at today, a couple more percentages higher than what we were from 4 or 5% to now 7. Okay, it is a concern, it's an issue, but it's not where we were. And so the question becomes with a lot of people, what is the goal? What are we trying to do? What are we trying to accomplish? And I don't know that that's been answered yet. So is it that we want to get things below 10%? Because as we stand, according to state standards, right here in Macomb County and around the region, we are in a higher than A category, meaning the A category that they've now listed in their color-coded diagram. And that's pretty remarkable. So I think we need to not just sit back and celebrate that, but continue to do the things that we've been doing to, mitigate as best we can. But for anybody that believes the continuation of opening, businesses and going back to the direction that we're going to continue to see those numbers decrease, well, I don't know if that's reasonable. I don't think that's rational thought. I think we need to realize the more we open up, the more contact, the more that we're going to see it increase. But I think those increases have been, minimal in comparison to where we're at day one. Again, but it's that continuous reminder, follow CDC guidelines, be part of the solution. Voluntary compliance is what we're looking for here in Macomb County.
So I'll reverse this so that, Supervisor Stathakis, Rick, I'm not always coming to you last. So what message would you give to your community in this respect?
Well, I think respect. We're in a very polarized community, not just Shelby Township. I'm just talking about the whole country. And, I get phone calls about, we don't have to wear a mask. And then I get phone calls about, hey, so-and-so's not wearing a mask. So we've got people on both sides of this. And I say this, look at the CDC. I mean, you can blow holes through any argument, including the CDC, because I know they often come out and say, well, wait a minute, we're going to change this and that. The truth of the matter is the very best policy we have right now are those who have the money, who have doctors on their board. We don't have doctors here in Shelby Township. We don't have, people who can give us advice. So we rely on the state and especially the government, federal government. So the CDC guidelines are what I would ask everybody to follow, which right now means wearing a mask. Whether you really want to or not, I'm not going to sit here and tell you have to or you don't have to, and I'm definitely not going to be a mask cop. But please, we just need to respect one another's space. And yes, I would ask everybody to wear a mask and be patient. And also take a walk in our parks. We got more than 1,200 acres of parks, which, by the way, in the last 8 months have been used more than any other time in Shelby Township's history. And we're happy about that. We now have 10 full-time people actually caring for our parks. So yeah, please, our parks have never closed. They're still open. And whether you live in Sterling Heights or Utica, I'm kidding, guys. Come on into Shelby Township and use our parks. And we're happy. We're happy to have people. And we just ask them to do, safe distancing, social distancing, and respect one another. And we're all getting along. I think it's going okay. And I think, as Mark said, it's not over yet. And hopefully, we'll see light at the end of the tunnel first quarter of next year. We'll see.
Mike?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, to Rick's point, and to jump back on what Mark said earlier, the community has really come together. I like riding my bike. I go up through the Dodge Park Trail. I get off right at, go through Heritage Park in Utica, go under the tunnel to be dumped off right downtown Utica, get a look at the ballpark, then right up to Riverbends Park. So there's a lot of great amenities in Macomb County. And I encourage people to, as Supervisor Stathakis said, just be responsible. There are a lot of things you can do. Use this opportunity to do things differently than you had in the past. And get out and be outdoors. And there are a lot of areas of this world where it's cold, most of the year. They still go outside. I mean, I've seen in like the city of Toronto, for example, they have outdoor seating for restaurants sometimes year round. So we can adapt and find ways to do what we want to do to keep our economy humming, keep our businesses open, hopefully get our schools back open in a responsible way. But the key word is responsibility. And again, look at the CDC guidelines. Do what you think is best for your family. But what's best for my family, I know, is to make sure that we're all wearing a mask if we have to go out in public together. We are responsible when we're out. We keep our distance from other people. We do our best to make sure that we're not getting too close to people. And if we keep that up, if we all mask up, if we keep our social distancing, if we're responsible about who we're seeing and how we're seeing them, I think we can get through this a lot quicker. And one thing I would encourage every resident in Sterling Heights and Macomb County is get your flu vaccine. This is the flu vaccine time. You can go to CVS, Walgreens, talk to your doctor, physician, get a flu vaccine. It's going to be so important this year to make sure that you get your flu vaccine, because we need to make sure that the hospitals remain. The hospitals, we get reports about where the hospitals are. Luckily, they're not overwhelmed like they were in the spring. But with the fall season coming up, we know that our residents like to get together for Thanksgiving, Christmas, holiday parties, and a lot of events over these next 2 months. So you just got to be very careful, be responsible about who you see and how you see other people, get your flu vaccine, and then do all of the things that the CDC recommends, like wash your hands frequently, maintain social distance, mask up when you have to go out in public and you can't maintain social distance. Get outdoors. There's a lot to do outdoors still, even though it's starting to get cooler out.
Mayor Dionne, I'll jump to you in a second. If I'm not mistaken, Mark, the Huron-Clinton Metro Parks, the attendance was, what was it, like up 100 and some % over year for people visiting all of our metro parks too? Like, I think you both brought up really good points about people utilizing the resources in their community for entertainment and recreation. But I think they saw huge increases.
Yeah, aside from Shelby, Sterling Heights, and Utica, 27 distinct municipalities that make up Macomb County all have some kind of unique feature. I think people have that, as Mike was mentioning. Rick was encouraging people to do. Boy, there's been more outdoor activity going on in this county than before, and we have wonderful opportunities for people to engage in. Whether it's the Metro Beach, Stony Creek, and/or obviously Wolcott. And you're right, the attendance has been just absolutely through the roof, which is a great thing. Concerning at first, because the park police had to figure out how do they minimize the crowd and keep people separated at the onset. But I've been using the various trails throughout the entire county myself, specifically Stony Creek Metro Park, personally with myself and my family. So I continue to agree with these gentlemen. Don't just stay in a house. Get out and enjoy what we have out there as far as the nature, even during these colder winter months that are going to be coming.
Stacy, can I just mention something very quickly? Sure. I'm glad Mark mentioned that, because we just now have installed sidewalk connectors that directly opens up Riverbends Park, Gene Shepherd's Park, Macomb Orchard Trail, and Stony Creek Metro Park to more of our township residents, and I believe Utica as well. Because of this, just in Shelby Township alone, we've got 4,500 homes and 15,000 more residents that will have access now to Riverbends Park, and more than 7,000 home and almost 25,000 residents will have access to that Iron Belt Trail from their home, which they never had before. So it's all good timing for us with this pandemic. But to Mayor Taylor's earlier point, this is a great time, and to Mark's point, it's a great time to walk, to bike, and many trails that we have and our new sidewalks are just connecting a lot of parks that we've never had before.
Even our Main Street, the Clinton River, specifically in Utica, Shelby Township, Sterling Heights, the work that these folks have done to try to clean up the river, make it accessible. There's been more activity on the Clinton River this year than any other year in its past. And again, it's completely navigable. And when there are some woody debris issues, they're cleaned up and they're taken care of by the various community members, as well as support we get from the general public. So I tell you, there's been an incredible resurgence of, if you will, people enjoying the recreational opportunities on the Clinton River here in Macomb County, specifically in these three communities.
Mayor Dionne, we'll go back to you. You know, what is your message to the residents?
Well, I can easily echo what Mayor Taylor and Supervisor Stathakis said, and Mark Hackel as well. It's for us, it's tell our residents to stay the course. It's a patience game. This is a marathon, not a sprint. You know, this isn't going away anytime soon. And by using best practices, we're going to be able to make this, keep the curve flat. But I see people getting, like, I think it was Mayor Taylor said that it's polarizing, or maybe it was Mr. Stathakis. It's a polarizing event here. We got some people that don't believe it's dangerous at all. We got some people that are terrified of it. I think that the biggest thing is you take care of your family, but also be concerned about your neighbor. Practice some courtesy. I see people, you know, at their very best right now. I've been in the grocery stores. I've seen people helping each other. But I've seen also people come in there without their mask. And they don't care about what's going on. And that type of behavior is really not what we're about in the United States here. And I'm seeing some of the worst behavior on occasion. Very small group of people, very, you know, concerned about themselves. But I see a large group of people that are very concerned about their neighbor, and they're taking care of their friends. And, you know, being a veteran, I've seen times of war, you know, back when we had Desert Storm, and our country, I really felt like our country came together. On 9/11, our country came together again. This is really no different. This is still a catastrophic event that's taking place much longer than we anticipated. But I'm hoping that the American spirit lives on in people, and that courtesy can become contagious, and neighbors can become more concerned about themselves than they are, more about their neighbor than they are themselves necessarily. One thing I saw that happened really good for my family during the lockdown is that we spent a lot of time together. I've got two kids in college and 2 kids in high school. And for us, we had spent more time this last, March through August than we have ever in the history of having a family together, since our kids were able to, like, go out and do individual things on their own. This was really good for our family. I hate that is a pandemic that had to bring us together like that, but we had dinner every night together. We saved more money, and we had, you know, great laughs and great family time together. So as bad as it was for the economy and for the world and the United States in particular, at my home, it was somewhat of a, you know, it wasn't the worst case scenario because I get to spend some really good time with my family. But again, just that message is be patient, take care of your family first, but be concerned about your neighbor, and just be a good patriot. You know, do what's right. You have a good moral compass, and take care of those that can't take care of themselves.
Absolutely. You know, when we look back in February, one of the key issues we talked about then was, you know, there was a lot going on this year anyway. We had the census, which, you know, Mark, I'm going to let you give a little bit of a shout out to the county and our numbers. And you gave us a great announcement. Was it yesterday recently, right?
Yeah. Amazing work on behalf of everyone, including these three gentlemen here in their communities. But overall, the counties, large counties, they call it large counties, county population of 500,000 or more. Macomb County was number one out in the state for the entire country. And, for the, I guess, second census in a row, 2010, 2020, Macomb County topped the charts again in this region. And so with that, that's resounding effort on behalf of people, because I think people here in Macomb County realize what they understood the message. You know, census 2020 brings back our money in many different areas, whether it's for our educational system, roads, community support, what we have Macomb Community Action, and representation. That's a very important thing for us. So, how this fares out as far as the actual numbers and population, I think the question is going to be, the big question now is, what city is going to be the number 3 largest city in the state of Michigan? Mike Taylor's smiling where I see it, because he's hopeful that translates into Sterling Heights surpassing the city of Warren, which is a possibility. So we're going to see those numbers come out, I think, probably before we understand what the election results are. I have a feeling, but for the most part, it's going to be very interesting to see the results of that. But couldn't be more proud of the public officials getting the word out, people responding, and putting Macomb County in that position once again of understanding the issue and trying to figure out how do we meet that challenge and bringing back the money here to Macomb County.
And I think that all of you, well, I can say this from, a resident, did a great job of making that accessible, explaining to residents why it was important, providing different events. I think, we had drive-through food events. We had, so in this midst of trying to gather, right? Everyone wants to be together. We are all extroverted personalities on this call right now. And, I know that we like to be amongst people. So you had drive-through food events and drive-through, hot dogs and at the ballparks. And it was great to see us try to be creative to get people to understand this message and why it's so important. But Mark, you did segue into my next question. So 2020 also brings us an election in a couple days. And I think we are all aware that it is in the final countdown. And I know that Macomb County plays such an important role on the national stage every year, every election cycle that comes up. So, as we move forward into these next 14 days, I think we can all agree on one thing, is that we would encourage everyone in Macomb County to come out and vote. My line to everyone is, if you don't vote, you can't complain. And I, for one, would never want to give up the right not to complain. So I will encourage everyone to vote. I know you will all do the same. But my question to you is, where do you see the implications of this election, and how do you feel that this election will affect the county in itself? So, Mark, I'm headed to you.
Okay, I hate to take it, but I will. I don't want people thinking I'm trying to dodge it. I appreciate that. I don't think Macomb County is going to be the one this time around that's going to be the bellwether or decide where the election is going to go. I honestly believe it's going to be Oakland County. I think the numbers in Oakland County are so far advanced when it comes to the political spectrum and the difference of opinion. I think you're going to see that it is going to be much more favorable to a Joe Biden, not just based on polls, but based on my interactions with some of the folks over there. I think it's going to be statewide. Probably Oakland County is going to be making the decision as to who the next president of the United States will be. Macomb County, I think, is still very diverse in that message. Again, let's just say it. There are people that originally were supportive of Donald Trump. Maybe they still are. They're not too supportive of the way he handled himself, the way he talks. I hear that from various Republicans, very hardcore, strong Republicans. Maybe they're going to still vote for him, but they wish he would have just calmed down and toned it down, especially with the tweeting and everything else. And this pandemic didn't help. I think his reaction to that, some of the controversies there, didn't fare him well here in this county. When you turn to the other candidate, I don't think people are all excited about the Democratic nominee, Joe Biden. There's not a tremendous amount of, this is our person, let's get out there and engage. So it's going to be an interesting election here in Macomb County, one that I think is going to be very close. I think too close to call. But with that being said, I don't believe it's going to be Macomb this time. It's going to be making a decision, not only statewide, but on national. Go ahead, Rick. I think Rick wanted to.
Yeah, Rick, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I just want to say, everyone has an opinion about who's going to win and who's not going to win. But one thing I do want to say, and I'm sure Mayor Taylor and Mayor Dionne are doing the same thing, but we're just doing everything we can on a local level to make voting a safe process. I mean, we've got electrostatic spraying being done. I think tomorrow and probably a few days apart, 2 or 3 or 4 times before election and after election. So we're making that as safe as possible. And Stan Grote, our clerk, has done an outstanding job making that environment as safe as possible. Stan Grote also has extra ballot boxes so that, not only, they don't have to come here anymore to the Township Hall. They can drop a ballot down at the Activities Center, which is a good thing. And also, Stan Grote has, I think, been very creative in having drive-by voting where you could drop your ballots off. I think it was last weekend we had that, and it was unbelievable the number of people that took advantage of that. So on a local level, we're doing everything we can so those who want to vote will have that opportunity regardless of what party you're from. And that's our job. And I'm pretty happy with we're all very proud of Stan Grote and his outstanding efforts and in the way this is being conducted. And again, safety is always number one, and we are just doing everything we can to make that environment as safe as possible.
Mayor Taylor, do you want to go next?
Sure, yeah, I would piggyback on Supervisor Stathakis that the local clerks deserve a huge shout out for the work that they're doing with this election. They're working under tremendously difficult circumstances right now. They have the added stress of having to make sure that everyone stays safe during a global pandemic for a election that is going to probably have historic turnout. I know in Sterling Heights, we've seen right now, as of today's taping, over 10,000 new registered voters from where we were in 2016. We've had over 22,000 absentee ballots already returned. In 2016, we had about 15,000 absentee ballots total. So we're going to surpass that. We're going to double it and probably more. I predict we're going to have somewhere around 40,000 absentee ballots in Sterling Heights. Could be close to 3 times what we had in 2016. You add up all the new voters, you add up the new ways that you can vote. We've got 7 drop box locations in Sterling Heights, so people can get their application at our senior center, which is now serving as an election center. It's staffed, it has evening and weekend hours. People can get their ballot, vote it there, take it home, come drop it off later. I encourage everybody to get out and vote. And of course, if you're going to vote absentee, drop it off in one of the drop boxes in your community if you can, rather than put it in the mail at this point. And I'm really encouraged by the amount of people that are going to be voting. Rick, actually, my parents participated in that drive-by voting. They had a lot of good things to say about your clerk. And so I'm really encouraged to see clerks adapting, figuring out new ways to get people engaged in the voting process. And I'm going to put on my pundit hat for just a second here, as Mark Hackel did. I am actually predicting that it's not going to be Macomb County this year. I think it's going to be Wayne County. And Wayne County is where I think you're going to see, if Joe Biden can draw out the Wayne County voters that voted in 2008 but stayed home in 2016, of which there was like 80 or 90,000 of them, that's going to make the difference. But, Mark is, Mark's good friend, the late Brooks Patterson, who we all miss, I miss him mostly because who else is going to make fun of Mark Hackel? Dave Coulter doesn't seem like his natural ability to poke fun at Mark isn't there. But, I think Brooks would be very proud of you saying that Oakland County is going to be the county that determines this election. I'm going to predict it's Wayne County, but Macomb County is going to be closer than it was in 2016.
Hey, Stacy, this is turning into a local CNN. You better get control of this. Hey, Dionne, say something.
So, Mike and Rick were saying, our clerks have a lot of responsibility right now. Now, Jocelyn Benson is advertising on the radio that early voting is a possibility, but really it's absentee voting. You can't go into the voting center and actually vote. So there's a lot of confusion that's coming our way. Because I heard on the radio, early voting. I saw it on the TV as well. And so we're getting people coming in that they want to fill out their ballot and put it in the machine. And well, it's absentee voting, which is, entirely different than in-person voting. So that message, I think, was sent out in less than clear format. But, this election is, for lack of a better term, it's a mess. I think that a lot of people are passionate about one candidate. A lot of people are passionate about another candidate. And the one thing we don't do in my family is we don't talk politics. And what's funny is I happen to be in politics, and we don't even talk about my job. My sister works at an elementary school up the way from my house, and she said, her friend told her, I can't believe you have this particular sign in front of your house. So I was going to go out and take my signs out, but I thought, no, this is my opinion. This is who I like. And I see some very good friends of mine that locally we couldn't get along better. I have members on my council that are that lean the way I do. I have members that lean completely opposite, and as far as the federal, but locally we get along so well. And I'm always amazed at how we have difference of opinions nationally. But pretty much regardless where you stand here locally, I can appreciate every one of our panelists here today. There's never been a question about like which side of the aisle are you on any one issue. So locally, that's fantastic. And I feel bad for a lot of folks because they can't really share their opinion because they're ostracized for having an opinion whether they should like Trump or they like Biden. And it's and that word again keeps coming out, polarizing. You couldn't have more distance between people on the national level right now with their opinions. I find some people may be in between, but it's a small margin. I think most people are either very far left or very far right with their opinion as far as which way they're going to go with the candidate. And I think most people are even afraid to talk about their candidate because they think it could ruin a friendship or relationship. I found out personally that my sister's friends are upset that I had a particular sign out front of my house, which I'm proud of the way I vote, and I'm not afraid to say it. But I think that this is going to be a mess. I think it's I don't think we have the two best candidates in the United States running for president right now, is what I'll say. I think and it's a common thread amongst my conversation with my friends, that of the 300 million people that live in this country, this is the best we can do. I think we get a lot of other people that can do it. I'll be quite honest. I think there's a gentleman here that's on top right corner. I think he'd be a great governor. Okay.
Thank you, Thom. I appreciate that.
I'm on my top right corner. So
I got Mark in the top right.
This is it for me.
And I look at Mike Taylor. I think Mike Taylor can, obviously step outside Sterling Heights, and Rick can easily step outside of Shelby Township. You guys are all very talented. I think we have candidates on this panel right now that could easily be a better presidential candidate than the two candidates that we have up there right now.
If I could just pick up on his point, the only thing I want to see in the governor's office right now, and I don't even care who it is. Well, I do have a preference. I'm not gonna, but I want somebody in that office who's actually going to focus on roads. I've been hearing this I forgot what the adjective is, fix the blank roads. I've heard that, I've heard it, and I've heard it over and over again. And I know, Mark, with the money you have, you're spending it all, but you're not getting nearly enough. And we deserve better from the state than what we're getting right now. And I know for little Shelby Township, we just put in $11 million matched by the county. There's a lot of money for Shelby Township. And the reason we did it is because we're getting tired of waiting. We just can't wait and wait and wait. But we've got millions and millions of other roads, dollars worth of roads that need to be fixed as well. So we're still waiting. And unfortunately, we can't spend $11 million every 2 years on roads. So I hope something will happen in the governor's office and also in Lansing. They got to get together and fix the, whatever that adjective is, roads. They got to get it done. Anyway,
I always say you're right, Rick. It's more about fixing the funding, helps fix the roads. But again, I think the three of you are good examples of that partnership. I mean, Mike, what you're able to do with the funding, obviously, in the city of Sterling Heights, and some of the support you get from the community to do so. Mayor Dionne, with the few funds that you have and the ability to partner with us to solve some of the problems you have, and obviously, Rick, some of the projects we've done. We know that Mound Road is going to be a huge opportunity for us to really shine. And we're going to be making that a reality. But that was funding we got from the federal government. But yet, we're not going to be able to solve all the problems. You're right, but I think we're doing the best we can to try to figure out how we mitigate some of the bigger issues. And if I may, I just want to go back to one of those things that Mike and I were talking about on the issue of the election, the delivery of it. Yeah, I don't think Macomb County is going to be the one to bring it. It's going to be close. And you're right. I was paying attention to the Detroit census. Is what helped me kind of figure out, okay, what's that turnout going to be like in Detroit? And I'll be honest with you, Oakland County was right on our heels throughout this process to try to, be the number one, not only in the state, but in the country for, the census returns. And we beat them out. And I kept looking at the return from the city of Detroit specifically, as well as Wayne County, because that word was getting out, trying to get the message, getting people to fill out the census. And I just got to tell you, they underperformed. I mean, it was woefully inadequate, the number of people that actually were part of that process, filling out the census, specifically knowing the support that they would be getting. Bringing back the money to the city of Detroit and Wayne County was so important. And you would hope that would have been more of a response on behalf of the people there. And it wasn't. So I use that as kind of a bellwether as to whether or not this is really going to translate into a turnout during an election. I know you can't compare the two. They're totally different things. But it was something I was watching to see, are they going to really get that turnout out of the city of Detroit that they're hoping for the candidate? And, kind of to Tom's point, nobody's really excited about either one of these candidates. And that's unfortunate. When you have an excitement about a candidate, whether it's a Ronald Reagan, a Bill Clinton, a Barack Obama, there was that energy that came in and people said, we're voting for him because we want this person, as opposed to lesser of two evils. And, I just don't know that it's really going to turn out the vote in the city of Detroit or particular Wayne County. So you have to be seen. So we'll see how that plays out, Mike. We'll kind of, maybe we'll make a coffee bet on it. Let's see.
You got it.
Okay. So I have two more quick questions. Well, quick with this crowd, I never quite know. But So we're all looking forward to 2021. We're all, we know that there, for Macomb County and all of our communities, there's a lot of exciting things on the horizon. New businesses coming in, new restaurants, things that we are just so excited about. So what do you see as one of the most exciting things coming to Macomb County, Mark, and then to each of your individual municipalities in 2021? Give us something to look forward to.
I'm going to let these three talk about it because obviously what happens at the county is directly impacted because of the 27 municipalities that make up Macomb County. So rather than me try to steal their thunder, with some of the things happening, I'd rather kind of defer to them, and then I'll backfill with some of the other communities that we see some promising opportunities coming our way.
So Thom, do you want to start? What are you most excited about coming to Utica in 2021?
Well, there's an issue that's going on in Utica right now, and I can't say I'm necessarily excited about it. But Utica is 1.7 square miles. We don't have any more land to develop, and that's the case. But it's something that's happening, and it's more of informational for people. On the south side of Hall Road, on the west side of Van Dyke, and I know Mayor Taylor is familiar. Rick, you may be familiar. The city of Utica has adopted the ability to have 2 marijuana retail stores and 1 grow facility. Now, I'm obviously not saying I'm excited, but again, just informational. I am excited about the opportunity for development, though, regardless of what they're selling. People may have their opinions about that, but the idea that the west side of Van Dyke, south of Hall Road, has been sorely dilapidated for years and years. I mean, it's gone on and underappreciated, and it's been an eyesore. So there are 2 marijuana stores that are coming in, retail stores that are going to be moving in there. Just despite what people may think about that, and I want to share my personal opinion on it, but I did vote no. But here we are now, it's happening. So I think that as a member of the community and the government, we need to support these businesses because now they're coming, right? So I don't want to be a thorn in their side by any means, but I'm hoping that it'll spur some additional retail or additional growth on that side of town, because that town is desperately needed some catalyst to make it happen. And if it's going to be marijuana, it's going to be marijuana. It was coming one way or another. Being that Utica is a small city, it was easy for folks to go out and get the petitions signed and bring that ballot initiative here to us if we didn't adopt it in council. So it is on the ballot coming forth for a third option. But it did happen to the point where they were able to bring 2 before council, and we worked with them to make an ordinance that made it possible. But the exciting part for me is just the fact that the west side of Van Dyke, south of Hall Road, is going to get developed. And talking with these people that they have the entrepreneurial spirit, they're talking about going up Van Dyke as well. Because if you look on Van Dyke, south of Shelby Township and north of Sterling Heights, Utica is suffering. And that corridor of Van Dyke is 1950s, 1960s construction. There's not been any new construction along Van Dyke anywhere in Utica in dozens of years. And if this is the catalyst to make that happen, then I'm going to be okay with it happening, because there needs to be a reason why we don't have Starbucks in Utica. We don't have these amazing chain stores. Rick snaked Chick-fil-A from us. Thanks, Rick. All right, we wanted that. So, but
they could have moved in Utica. I don't know why they chose Shelby, but I'm glad they did. I like their chicken sandwiches.
I do too. They're delicious. But we need growth, and there's no way for us to do it other than through the gentrification process of getting old buildings knocked down and new ones put up. Like they just did at 21 and Van Dyke, right across from the Taco Bell. There's a brand new facility, brand new strip mall. We need things like that to happen, and we need investors to think that Utica has value. For some reason or another, they look at Shelby Township, and there's a quarter mile outside of Utica, brand new building. You go in other places down Hall Road, brand new buildings, but it's not happening in Utica, and I don't know why that appeal is not there. But for some reason, we need people to, think that Utica is worth investing in. So hopefully this will spur that process. These marijuana stores will maybe bring a sense of revitalization in that area.
Mayor Taylor.
Yeah, so 2020 has been without a doubt a challenging year, but I'm really actually proud of our city for what we've been able to accomplish under some difficult circumstances, and I think we're well positioned for 2021. There's 3 big projects I want to talk about, but before that, just briefly, we've taken this opportunity. There's been a lot of civil unrest throughout the country over racial injustice, and we've seen calls for better understanding racial justice, racial equity, and the city of Sterling Heights, I believe, has answered that call, and we've formed committees, and we have a new African American coalition that's going to be continuing to take shape in 2021. We've formed a new community alliance to help better understand the needs of our diverse population in Sterling Heights. I'm excited about that. 3 big projects that we have working right now that you're going to hopefully see. Well, you're going to see the first project I'll talk about, Innovate Mound. You're definitely going to see progress in Macomb County this year. Innovate Mound, we're going to completely redo Mound Road from 696 to Hall Road. It's going to be starting in 2021. It's going to be starting in the city of Warren, but we're going to gradually work our way up. And that was $100 million in federal aid that was given, federal grant money, I should say, given to the city of Sterling Heights that we applied for. We made our case. We proved to the federal government that Macomb County, Sterling Heights, and the city of Warren are deserving of that money. And it's my understanding it's the biggest federal grant for a local road project in the country's history. The next thing I want to talk about that we're hoping to see a lot of progress this year is Lakeside Mall. The Sterling Heights City Council was just recently presented plans from the new owners of Lakeside Mall. And I got to tell you, it blew me away. It's really what they're proposing is beyond impressive. It would create a new city center in the city of Sterling Heights at Hall Road and Shaner, the likes of which I don't think we have in Macomb County right now. So the idea that that could be coming on board, they've got a very aggressive timeline. They want to start developing the parking lot area of Lakeside Mall. They're talking about doing things with the roof at Lakeside Mall, outdoor walkways. It would be incredible. And the third thing, which is maybe a little less likely than the other two, is this U.S. Space Command that Executive Hackel and I have been working on. We're promoting the Space Command and encouraging the United States Air Force to look strongly at a partnership between the city of Sterling Heights, Macomb County, and Selfridge to locate 1,500 high-tech aerospace jobs and bring the Space Command here to Macomb County. So 2020 was challenging. I think 2021, we're going to start recovering, and we've got a lot of great things to look forward to in Sterling Heights, not just with our business community, but with our Parks and Rec, with all sorts of different things that we have going on in Sterling Heights. So I'm very excited and think we're in a great position to have a very successful year next year.
Supervisor Stathakis.
Well, like in Utica and Sterling Heights, we have a lot going on here in Shelby Township. As I mentioned, the $21 million road dollars that we've actually spent over the last 2 years are coming to a completion this year. So I would agree with Mark that, the tactic in getting this done would be funding. But the final result measure that people look at are the roads. The road, rebuilding them or repaving them, whatever it may be, roads need to be done. And we need that money coming in from Lansing. It's just not there. So we're going to keep harping on that. And we're not nearly to where we need to be in terms of roads. But nevertheless, we're making a lot of progress. For example, we just finished our police department. Our $4.2 million police department is now completed. We've got a $11.3 million library that's about half done. It'll be completed in fall of next year. Also, we've got an activity center, which we finished last year. And unfortunately, like Mayor Taylor had to do, we had to close hours as well. But that's done. And, we have paid cash for everything. We have not raised taxes. We have not bonded. We have not borrowed any money. So we're going to continue to be the lowest full service community in Macomb County. And we're happy to say that like Utica and like Sterling Heights, we are a top tier community. And we're very, very humbled, but very proud that we have finished as, according to niche.com, the #1 community to live in terms of desirability, and also the safest in Macomb County. I think we're like number 23 or 24 in the state. But the important thing is regionally here in Macomb County, it's very safe. And we've got great communities surrounding us. And that is very, very important to us. So, we've got a lot to do, but we're making a lot of progress. And we're going to keep on going.
Mark, I'm going to let you close it out, on where we see us in 2021.
Yeah, I think interesting. We talk about, the finances that are our responsibility as government entities, whether it's the mayor or the supervisors, here in Macomb County. One would have thought we'd have had the disaster when it comes to our balances moving forward in the budgets. By way of example, each one of these three gentlemen have been able to do that. They've been able to work within their finances and put a structurally balanced budget moving forward. Well, I guess it's surprising it may be for some who wonder where Macomb County would have been positioned during this process. We have just sent the Board of Commissioners a incredibly structured, fundamentally structured budget that they're looking at that I think everyone is surprised at. In light of what just happened, the support we got from the federal government, we are seeing a situation here for the 10th year in a row. But yet probably more excitingly, this budget here is even better than the ones we produced before. So the board's looking at that. They're heading through the process, having a difficult time finding anything that's challenging with it because in this budget, we are paying off bonds. We are refinancing bonds. We are adding to the fund balance. And moving forward, we realize there's some projects that we have with capital projects that we now have funding available to fix some of the issues here within Macomb County that are buildings of our responsibility. So that being said, government, we are doing the things that need to be done. We haven't shut down. We continue to provide services, working with our partners. Obviously, the three gentlemen that are here with us right now, there's been an incredible working relationship. But the exciting things that are happening, I do believe will continue to happen. You're going to see that develop, albeit there are going to be some businesses that are going to be challenged, maybe some of them closed. We know by working together, we can try to figure out how do we resolve that. And maybe where there was a loss, there'll be a potential gain. We look at what's happening, and kind of Mike had mentioned it, talking about the Selfridge advantage, where we're headed. Whether this project makes it or not, it really puts Selfridge on the if you will, the map. We know that it's going to push back any potential BRAC study where they're going to try to figure out the realignment, closure opportunities. And Selfridge is hugely important to our economic opportunities here. You think about Macomb County and our manufacturing, our automotive, our defense. We're diversifying, but here in Macomb County, manufacturing is a key component of what we do, has been and will continue to be, and we still see their opportunities moving forward throughout the various municipalities here in the county. So I'm excited about the future of Macomb County, not just as a government entity or how we do other finances, but working with our local partners to continue the economic opportunities and keeping them viable. Proud to say I just was with Dr. Rogers, the Adjutant General of the state of Michigan. We went through the new housing development that they have in Chesterfield along Dan Ecavette, the supervisor there. And this is something that is going to be showcased, much like we're talking about Mound Road, will be showcased throughout the entire planet when this thing gets done. This facility that we have here for our veterans in Macomb County is remarkable, providing housing and rehabilitation services along with the Eisenhower Center on Selfridge's grounds. And I say that because, when you look at all the things that are going on here in Macomb County, the fact that people participate, there's something that is going on that sometimes gets overlooked. We've been historically a county that has made things to protect those who have protected us with our rich and strong defense industry. But now as a county, not just with the millage, but the support we're giving to our veterans, we now provide services to those who have served us, and we're going to continue to do that. So, I can't be thankful enough working, with Thom, with Rick, with Mike, and the other municipalities here that make up Macomb County, and the support we get internal from our organization, the people that have been by my side throughout this process. We're going to continue to move forward in a way that's respectful and try to figure out how do we continue to get along and depoliticize and not demonize anyone for their opinions, their thoughts as to how we're dealing with this issue or any other. Stacy, to you, credit to the chamber and working with the other chambers, which sometimes has been a challenge in the past, but the working relationship you have with chambers throughout the entire county has been very beneficial to the businesses here in Macomb County. And I want to thank you for working alongside our planning department to make it happen even throughout this crisis.
Well,
Can I just throw this in too, Stacy? I want to thank you for all your good work here in Shelby Township too. I know we have a lot going on like the other two communities, and I always depend on you to make all these connections. And we really appreciate you promoting business throughout this pandemic. And I know you're still helping us do that. And with our new $36,000 website, I say that because a few of you paid a lot more. We are getting the job done. So thank you very much for that. And we depend on you, and we're going to continue depending on you.
A couple things too, we've been excited, and Mark and the Planning and Economic Development team, I can't say enough about them. We have worked hand in hand on this project. Those $70 million are out in our communities. There's a grant available right now that if there are businesses that call you that say, oh my gosh, I've missed all these other grants, this is the last one that they can apply for. And I will share that information when we share this link as well, because it's so important to get those businesses the funds that they need. We're working with 600 local businesses that got a new website throughout the county that are going to have some kind of digital presence that might help them with online ordering, retail sales. That's only, Mark, you made a commitment to the small business community in Macomb County, and for that we're grateful to you when you received the CARES Act dollars. It's game changers. I will share a story really fast about a small toy store that shut down for 4 weeks to relocate. They were very concerned. Thom, they're right in Utica now, that they relocated to provide a storefront for themselves. They had lost money due to COVID. They had lost money being closed. And because they had new digital advertising in place from the CARES Act dollars, when they did a grand opening weekend last year, they are now a couple $100 ahead of where they expected to be with a closure and with renovations. So that is a testament to how we can support these small businesses. You all have been remarkable to our small business community. We're going to continue to support all of you in the coming months, in the coming weeks. So anything that the chamber can do, and I will speak on my chamber friends too, we're here to help our municipalities and we're here to help our small businesses. And so we are grateful that we do have such a strong partnership in Macomb County that makes this all happen. So I thank you for your time this morning. Hopefully in 2021, we're all sitting together, and maybe you have a different MC than me and a moderator who might ask you some more tough questions, but this has been fun. You all show how maybe we have different views, maybe we have different beliefs, but if we all work together towards a common goal, the results are what is important, and the results are what we're here for our constituents, our businesses, and our communities. So I hope that, yes, Rick,
we've
go ahead.
gone 60 minutes without having to look at Mike Taylor's socks. That's
Coming up on the table now. He's going to put
I'm just going to say, the camera's not going to see anything below here. Okay, Rick, because, I got my shorts on and, this is the COVID outfit. You only have to dress from the waist up. But while I've got the mic real quick,
oh boy,
I want to congratulate Mayor Thom Dionne, who's going to be retiring at the end of this year.
Yes.
Mayor Dionne, best of luck to you. I know that your future is bright as well. I appreciate all the nice comments. And thank you for your service. Now, a lot of mayors like us have to work full-time jobs. Your full-time job is out as a police officer, keeping the people and the public safe. And just want to give you kudos for what you do. You're a public servant through and through. God bless. Best of luck to you, Thom.
Congratulations, Thom.
And to add to that, he just got promoted and will take effect the first of the year as a sergeant.
It'll be the first part of the year. I'm not sure if it's on the first, but it'll be the early part of the year. But I was gonna thank you. You beat me to the punch there, Mike. I was gonna tell you, Mike and Rick and Mark, thank you, and Stacy, thank you for letting me into the club. I know that the best part is that being new in the office last 4 years, when I called, you picked up the phone. There's a lot of questions being a new guy, right? And I was thankful that for the mentorship and the quick answers and the quick replies with the emails. And the friendship that I feel like you've offered to myself and the city of Utica. It was a phone call away. I've called Rick dozens of times. Rick, now the question was always, or I should say, the response was, yes is the answer. What's the question? And that kind of relationship between Sterling Heights and the county. And Rick, if we needed a piece of equipment from Shelby Township, it was on the way. If we needed to reach out and talk to Mike about one issue or another, whether it be the roads or whatever it was, we got it squared away, and the help was immediately offered. And Mark, with the guidance that we've had in the last couple of weeks, even we've talked about some issues. So thank you so much for letting me participate, making you guys have made me a better person, which have made Utica a better place to live. Without your hard work and your efforts to help me do my job, the city would have suffered a little bit more. But there's going to be two individuals running for mayor, and hopefully the best man will win, and that person will pick up the torch and continue on and hopefully do a great job. I'm going to try to run for council, right? I mean, see what happens. But my time for mayor will be over.
On behalf of Shelby Township, I want to congratulate you and thank you for your great partnership. And I know that'll continue. And hopefully as lieutenant, you'll have more time to visit our new
promotion
opening in first quarter of next year, I believe. Yeah, go ahead, Mark.
Mark.
Or Stacy, I'm sorry.
I was just
not my meeting.
Hey, I was just going to leave it at that. Just say, and that's Thom, Dionne, and we approve of his message.
There you go. Thank you so much, guys. Really appreciate you.
So I've also figured out next year I'm going to make Sterling Heights Chamber socks for all of you, and they will. Yeah, that'll be your community leader's gift for participating next year.
I usually have black socks on. Today, to compete with him, I have blue solid socks on. That's a big step for me. But I don't know what you have in mind, but if it's anything like his, count me out.
He sees the blue wave coming.
Well, again,
only one that can compete with you is JP from our office here. That dude's got fancy socks too, man. So.
Thank you all so much.
Right,
you know, this, I think if
Stacy.
anything else, the camaraderie that you show is a good example for the community support that all of our businesses and our residents receive. So, you know, thank you again for participating in our virtual community leaders event, and we will certainly see you all very, very soon.